The Hulk humbles Thanos, and it's amazing. Okay, so I'm dropping you guys in the middle of a story, really a crossover that's happening in Marvel Comics called Infinity Watch. Basically, the Infinity Stones are bonding themselves to human beings and then essentially becoming sentient. So, as crazy as this is going to sound, and bear with me here, this starts off with Colleen Wing. I know it's weird, right? How do you connect Colleen Wing to the Incredible Hulk? Bear with me here, because it all makes sense. So, the Mind Stone bonding itself to a person is referring to itself as WORLDMIND. Now, the cool thing about the Infinity Stones is that they function much the way that you would expect them to, although there is the whole Death Stone story that's going on right now, which is also really cool, right? An Infinity Stone that's basically the living embodiment of death. It's pretty amazing. But what happens is when Colleen shows up here, she doesn't fully understand what's going on. She's literally been hired here basically as a bodyguard, which begs the question, why in the world would something as powerful as a living Infinity Stone need a bodyguard? More than that, Colleen Wing, right? She's just like kind of a good fighter with a really cool sword. Like I said, bear with me, this gets dope. So when she shows up here and she's talking to this thing, she kind of asks the question. She's like, you didn't really give me a choice to come here, right? Isn't there some rule that you telepaths have about not intruding in someone's mind? But this is when he responds and he says, I'm afraid I don't know. I've only been a telepath for a few months. So there's a kind of back and forth that goes on between the two of them. But ultimately he just says, like, you're Colleen Wing, all I need is you. And so that's when Thanos arrives on the scene, because as they're going back and forth, she says, hey, you have a ninja that you need beaten up. You can call me, but this is cosmic level stuff. This is grand destiny stuff. And that's where WORLDMIND responds and says, I don't know about destiny, but I know people, whether they be human, alien, or other. I know what's coming, Colleen, and I know how to stop it. And that's when she asks the question, right? Like, someone else is here, someone else you've called. And that's when it says, oh, I didn't call him. He's been following the Mind Stone's energy signature for days now. Haven't you, Thanos? And when Thanos shows up here, right, he's just kind of like, little human, you can read my thoughts, so you know what it is that I'm about to do to you. Now, here's kind of the finicky thing. Thanos is kind of out of character to a degree with regards to the way he talks, but there is this hilarious moment where Colleen Wing goes to confront him, right? Where literally WORLDMIND's like, I know what you think you're going to do, yes, but I haven't come here alone. Colleen, and he kind of like sends her in, and she's like, seriously? And she's like, all right, I've been hired as a bodyguard. So like she points this sword at Thanos, right? And she was like, go on now, get, and just like kind of just tries to shoo him away. And she's like, this sword's been in my family for generations, and I have to warn you, it's still pretty pointy. Dude, Thanos just like backhands this girl into oblivion, right? Like just bow, sends this girl flying. And here's the funny thing. Thanos responds and he says, WORLDMIND, you call yourself? Is this all the resistance you're going to offer? And the response of WORLDMIND is, you've got it wrong, Thanos. Colleen is a point of light in the dark. Do you understand? She wasn't here to protect me from you. She was here to protect you from me, right? Somebody call the ambulance, but not for me. Because immediately WORLDMIND just like attacks Thanos using the power of the Mind Stone. And that's the cool thing about the Mind Stone itself, right? It just kind of attacks people on a mental level. Now, one of the cool things about Thanos, and a lot of people who are familiar with this character know, using the Infinity Stones on him doesn't usually work. We know that just from like Thanos' quest, right? That given how incredibly powerful he is, his ability to withstand the capabilities of the Infinity Stones is one part the level of power he has, but also just like how disciplined his mind is and how in tune he is with the Infinity Stones, having wielded them before. And so that's why when you have Mind Stone who kind of launches this attack, don't worry, I'm getting to the part about the Hulk, right? When the Mind Stone launches this attack and he says, your life story is playing out in my head like a horror movie, I see your pain, your loneliness, your darkness. Despite your every nerve ending being on fire, you reckon you can still beat me because you think I'm just like all the rest. But here's the secret. The Mind Stone picked me because it thought I'd be able to overcome my own darkness, but I can't. More to the point, Titan, I don't want to. Yes, struggle against me. You don't even know why you're doing what you're doing, do you? Every move you make, every word you utter is a landslide that was once a pebble kicked off a mountain ledge in your childhood. But I can change that childhood, Thanos. I can smooth out those twisted memories. And if I take away that darkness, then do you know what you'll be? And then like Thanos just grabs this guy and punches a hole in him, right? And it's just like, okay, so that was adorable, right? This guy's really cute, and then kind of talks trash to the Mind Stone for a second, but then he realizes the Mind Stone's calling out to someone, and it asks the question, like, you called out for help. Who did you call to, Little Stone? Who's powerful enough to protect you from me? And that's when the Hulk shows up on the scene, right? And the Hulk's just like, got enough voices in my head, I don't need yours. Now, here's the funny thing about this, right? Thanos tries to play it tough, son. Thanos tries to play it tough here, right? He's like, the one who called you is dead. You can leave now. He's putting on this front. Let me tell you something, guys. Do not let the Marvel Cinematic Universe fool you, right? Anybody who knows anything about the Incredible Hulk in Marvel Comics knows two things. Number one, it's a foolish man who pisses off the Hulk, right? That's just a one-way ticket to an early grave. And number two, Thanos has always avoided fighting the Hulk. We know that from like the Jim Starlin story of Thanos versus Hulk, the biggest clickbait story ever, because they never actually fought. They just fought in like a mental simulation. But there's a point in that story where Thanos talks about coming into conflict with the Hulk, and he says, it's a conflict that I've always avoided, or something along those lines. And so when Hulk's just like, I don't think I'm gonna leave, right? Thanos is like, this has nothing to do with you, creature, jump away. And Hulk's just like, I don't think I will. And that's when Thanos tries to use the Mind Stone on him, and like the Hulk bites his wrist and just gives him a shot to the gut. And then it's just kind of like, you know? And so Thanos is like, very well, right? I've bested you before without undue effort. I will do so again. And the Hulk calls, like he brings in like this original sin moment. You guys remember in Original Sin when Iron Man donned like the Hulkbuster armor and tried to fight the Hulk, and the Hulk just like crushes the Hulkbuster armor, and then Tony's like musing to himself about how foolish it was to try to fight the Hulk with the Hulkbuster armor, and he's like, always the optimist, Tony. Always the optimist. That's what this is here, man. This is the Hulk helping Thanos understand his place in the bigger picture, because Hulk is just like, no, man, like, you've never bested me. You want this trinket, do you? You can't have it, right? And like Thanos responds, right? He's just like, what would a brute like you do with the Mind Stone? And Hulk's just like, I mean, I don't really want it, man. I just don't want you to have it. And so what follows here is just this knockdown, drag out, bare knuckle fight. And it's initially just kind of like them going back and forth. And then Thanos does the one thing that you're not supposed to do, right? He does the one thing that you're not supposed to do. He just says, such a petty mind, such a weak, petty, puny mind. Dude, man, Thanos, don't do that, son. You're gonna piss him off. He's gonna be mad at you. And that's exactly what he says, right? He's like, what did you call me? And then he's like, what did you call me? And like Thanos literally keeps going. He's like, puny, small, weak, mortal. I have killed gods, Hulk. What can you boast of? And the Hulk's just like killing the guys who kills gods. And that's exactly what happens, dude. Hulk immediately takes it to this guy and just starts pummeling Thanos, gouging at his eyes, the whole 9 yards. Now, it's not to say that Thanos just gets pushed over, right? I mean, he puts up a good fight. Right? He does the best he can with what he has. But here's the thing to understand, son. This is the Hulk we're talking about. Man. The Hulk just takes it and keeps on coming, right? Like, he's like an ex-wife that just won't go away, right? Just keeps on taking the heat and keeps on coming, to the point where like there's a moment where Thanos snaps his neck. What does the Hulk do? You know, I've been hurt worse than that. He pops his head right back to where it was, and Thanos turns his back like a fool, goes to walk away, right? Says, as I said, puny. And the Hulk's like, I told you, don't call me that. And just like, BAM! Right? Sends Thanos flying, right? Like cracks this guy in the back. Now at that point, with the Incredible Hulk obviously having defeated Thanos here, I mean, if you guys doubt me, who's laying on their knees, right? Gasping for air as best they can. And who's the dude who's just stretching, relaxing, getting ready to go home and eat some cornflakes because this is just a Tuesday, right? Like, which one of these guys is in the position? Obviously the Hulk beat Thanos here, right? Colleen Wing comes back in possession of the Mind Stone, right? And she says, the Mind Stone thanks you for responding to its call, Hulk, or it would have if it had any actual understanding of gratitude. And so in turn, Thanos tells Colleen Wing, right, like, give me the stone. And she's like, yeah, that's not gonna happen. She pops her sword, which is now cosmically imbued, and stabs Thanos through the neck. Now, of course, it's not gonna kill him. And she says that, right? Like, that won't keep him down for long, but it'll be enough for me to make myself scarce. And the Hulk's like, move aside, Colleen Wing. Let me show you how this actually gets done, because you don't know what you're doing. I'm the Hulk. What is it John Bernthal said in Daredevil season 2? He said, you knocked knock them down and they get back up. I knock them down and they stay down, right? Like the Hulk just bam, right? Like literally clocks Thanos' head into the ground. And he's like, yep, that'll do it, right? And so Colleen's just like, thanks, Hulk. If the stone hadn't found you, Thanos wouldn't have taken his first step forward. And the Hulk's just like, tell that trinket never to do that again. And the Hulk just leaves, right? Why does the Hulk just leave? Because, son, it's a fool who challenges the Hulk to a fight. The best thing Thanos could have done was just run. Flee for your life. That's the best thing he could have done. With that being said, guys, we're going to bring this video to an end. Let me know if you want to see everything else as a part of this, because it is a really, really cool story, especially the whole segment with the Death Stone. Let me know what you guys think. Thank you all for watching. I will catch you all later. Peace.